Welcome to the favorites, the podcast, part of the Volume Podcast Network. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. Let's welcome in my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF professional better, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Chad, how we doing?
Dude, we are so close to having real football. 2 weeks from today is the kickoff for the 2025 NFL season, which means that today is our last division to preview. We are doing the AFC North. Uh, we got the grittiest, most blue collar franchises in the NFL and the Bengals. Boom, boom. Reminder, I'm letting everybody know which divisions everybody is playing in their schedule so they get a sense of it. AFC North in its conference uh, plays the AFC East, and they also play the NFC North. Baltimore Ravens, I, doing my research, started falling more and more in love with this team. We're going to get to the Achilles heel, which is always the same. Division minus 160, conference plus 325, Super Bowl plus 650, win total 11 and a half. Simon, do you want to hear why I absolutely love the Ravens right now?
See,
Bueno. This is a team that, you know, generationally has had an incredible coaching staff and an incredible personnel department, right? Their front office has been legit. That's why there's been no transition for them. In the first half of last year, clearly their defense was terrible, right? Zach Orr, the new defensive coordinator, had Kyle Hamilton playing closer to the line of scrimmage, and this team was getting burned so often. They were giving up so many points. And as a better, we had a lot of chances. It was clear early on that they were not able to maintain leads. And we were able to bet against them because they kept giving up the back door and their spreads were so high, like the public is always on the Ravens. Then they made some significant personnel adjustments in the middle of the year, specifically Kyle Hamilton moving back into a more traditional safety role, defending against sort of the long, explosive plays that had been killing them. After going 5-5-1 the first 11 games against the spread, they went 5-1 in the final six. Amazing, right? What I love about the Ravens is they don't get complacent. What did they do? Their secondary, Kyle Hamilton masked some of the weaknesses they had. So what did they do? They added Jair Alexander from the Packers. They drafted Malachi Starks from Georgia. They added Chuck Pagano as a secondary coach, right? They just got better defensively. And oh, by the way, they added DeAndre Hopkins for Lamar Jackson. So amazing. Love this team. And then none of it will matter if they can't figure out how to lose Lamar in the right way in a playoff game, right? So, like, I want to do everything with this team. I want to bet him at every level. And I still worry about Lamar and not being, the player that he is during the regular season when we get to a playoff game.
yeah, and the biggest thing that jumped out at me at that batch report, again, I'm not around just Joe Schmo, normal people that often, was the Ravens hype. Everyone, all these Joe public people love the Ravens Super Bowl bet, right? That's who these Eagles fans think they're gonna be playing in the Super Bowl this upcoming season. I'm just like, where's that confidence come from? Why do you have more confidence in Lamar than you do in Josh Allen Mahomes? And I think it is because of what you just talked about, Chad. That this team, once again, is absolutely stacked. And this is my pushback on the Hurts disrespect. Was 2 years ago, you could argue that Ravens team that lost at home to Kansas City was one of the greatest teams ever in anyone's model. Like, I know DVOA had them as, I think, a third best team ever recorded in their database. This is one of the best franchises at drafting ever. Like, they consistently draft so well, And Chad just talked about they attack free agency every year as well. So you don't think they have the money and they cheat in other areas, right? Like their D line, their D tackles might not be the best, but they're just so dominant in other areas, right? They might have arguably the best safety and the best linebacker in all of football. So it's like when you have Roquan, when you have someone that dominant, someone who can tackle so well, it changes the dynamic of the team, right? That makes teams have to pass the ball. So that's what they went out. Chad just talked about. They went out and tried to attack the secondary, something they viewed early in the year last year. That was a weakness. Like Chad said, they were awful at defense the first 8 weeks of the season. And, their coordinator, the DC, I think he was my age. I think he was 34, 35 years old. So it makes sense. Okay, this guy is in over his head. He apparently reached out to other people and had people come in and help him out. And that's a beautiful thing in life. You can be humble and take outside help and never think you have all the answers. It's only going to make you better as a person and grow. And that's what happened with their defense. It grew. It got better. Like you said, towards the end of the season, they were probably the best defense left in the AFC.
Yeah.
But the issue they ran into was, Josh Allen, he showed up. And that was the issue they ran into. It was like, okay, you guys are a great defense. You're going against the MVP. There never is a great defense to stop the MVP, right? When the MVP is clicking, it doesn't matter how great and dominant your defense was that year. It's not going to live up to that moment. And it sucked for them. They got stops into that game, right? And it was all in Lamar's hands. And yes, Mark Andrews dropped it, but it was a little too late. Like, even if they scored, we talked about, there was too much time left. So, me and Chad, this is a long-winded answer that I love this team as well as you do, but this is another team that I'm happy to be patient on because NFL season starts in 2 weeks. If you've already missed the boat on them divisional odds, and if you don't want to bet the win total, I would honestly wait because of the way their schedule starts. I don't know if you looked at this, Chad, but they literally start at Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, at Kansas City, Houston, Rams, then the bye week. So, to me, pretty simple position there.
Hold on. You're missing one game. The juggernaut Chicago Bears.
What, after the bye week?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they'll be prepared for that one. But yeah, I look at their schedule. It's like, why rush to the window right now? Can't we be patient here and hope? Pittsburgh has a great start. The Bengals, who we both don't really believe in, come out on a hot start. So it's like, everyone in the world, every Joe Public I talk to is drinking the Ravens Kool-Aid. I think it's a nice team to step back from. Let them hopefully start 500 or, even 4-2. I think you could get potentially better odds here on this team. So yeah, I'm happy to be patient on them just because what an insane start to your season. Like, you're literally going through arguably the three best teams without not including the Eagles in all of football. So yeah, it's tough. Where I remember like months ago, I almost got sucked in right away betting them week 1 at the Buffalo Bills because it's like, oh, it's Lamar as a dog. Me and Chad talk all the time. If Lamar's under 3, he's like 20-3 against the spread. Something crazy when he's an underdog or under 3. So it's a tough start to the season, but we just talked about I think they're number 2 or number 3 in my model. They are insanely talented. People want to bitch and moan that, we disrespect Lamar every year and we're too low on Lamar. He ain't the number 1 guy. He ain't the number 2 guy. And to me, he ain't the number 3 guy because he just does not show up in the playoffs. And he has these turnovers, which, again, last year he fixed it. I think he only had 4 or 5 turnovers all season. He has 2 inexplicable, never happens Lamar turnovers against that Bills team. So that's the issue, people. I think you guys are all too much in denial of shifting the blame where it has to be shifted on Lamar. Like, he has the team around him. They've supported him. They've gone out. They've gotten the weapons. They went out and got Derrick Henry. Like Chet said, we joked about it. Hopkins, yes, he's not a game changer, but it's a cog in the machine. Like, if you have him as your third receiver behind Zay Flowers, Isaiah likely should be back by week 2 or 3. Him and Mark Andrews, those are 2 really good tight ends. So, yeah, people can tell I'm hyped up about this team. It's just be patient. I just think that start of the season so brutal. Super Bowl, plus 650. Come on, there's no value in betting that right now. So, to me, I have no bet on them, win total-wise, divisional-wise. I would say just be patient. If you want to throw their division and win the other teams and parlays, I got no issue with that. But betting it straight, I can't do it with this team in this division just because it's going to be better value to me by the time it gets to their bye week.
You just mentioned the Bengals. I have nothing more to say about the Ravens other than what you said. Like, love them. The value is probably gone, but I still love, love, love this
Not enough
team.
value for the schedule. That's what I
The
think we
only
both agree.
exactly my final note in sort of my notes in the script is their schedule is fucking brutal, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a hard way to start the year. The Bengals, meanwhile, super interesting value to me. Probably not in the way people expect because of how much I love Joe Burrow. Division plus 260, conference plus 850, Super Bowl 18 to 1, win total 9.5. You downgraded Joe Burrow out of your top four QBs entirely, right? To me, the management continues to find ways to completely kill any mojo and just put more and more obstacles in front of Joe Burrow, who it's very possible he goes down as like Dan Marino, where he's got an incredible career and has that early Super Bowl appearance and never gets back because I think the franchise is so incompetent. And we saw it on display this entire offseason. They draft Shamar Stewart. Then they put an unprecedented clause in his contract that he cannot sign, which leads to acrimony and a bad holdout for a guy, by the way, who had zero production in college. They basically reached in the first round for a combine warrior. They just drafted the 2025 version of Mike Mamula. And I will go back to what an NFL scout said to me, who I spoke to after the draft. And his comment to me was NFL coaches or college coaches, they want to win too. They're not going to build schemes that don't include their best player unless that best player is not good enough to produce. Shamar Stewart was the best talent, the best athlete on that Texas A&M team and did not produce. Meanwhile, the guy who is supposed to be on the opposite side and getting some relief from Shamar Stewart, Trey Hendrickson, like they've gone out of their way to alienate their best defensive player on a really, really bad defense because that defense is why they missed the playoffs last year. And I don't think they've done anything to sort of immediately fix it other than adding Al Golden, the defensive coordinator who had been with Notre Dame. So that's terrible. And Simon, the last thing, their offensive line got worse. And it was already the worst offensive line in the NFL. So they're not protecting their quarterback. They're not doing anything to get the opposing offenses off the field. And they're not doing anything to help their players find some peace and happiness with the franchise. Give me the under 9.5.
Yeah, you know it's bad when Chad goes, yeah, they did add Al Golden. Like, who the fuck cares about Al
Yeah,
Golden?
that's what I mean. Like,
I
you
know.
got to have some talent.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. So it's like they're literally it's as if they got someone slashed them with a sword and they literally put the smallest band-aid possible on that gash. And it's
What
like,
the fuck happened? Like,
what?
how
Yeah.
did they, as I did the research and like, we all have our biases. Sorry to cut you off, but like, we always get so enamored with quarterbacks and think they can, to your point, band-aid over everything. And we love Joe Burrow, but you were ahead of this. Like, this team is just not good enough to do anything, even keep Joe Burrow upright. It's just not going to be enough to have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Like, it's just not there.
And this team is the definition of wins or a QB stat because without Joe Burrow, they're getting maybe 2 wins, 3 wins. So Joe, he will carry this corpse of a team to 8, 9, 10 wins. And if you want to take that over 9.5, go ahead. But to me, I have them at 8 wins. So I have them a full game and a half below it. And, you know, goddamn, were people mad that I had Joe Burrow number 6 as my quarterback rankings. And I get it. Like, no one's doubting the talent level of Joe Burrow. But you can see, like, some of those sacks he takes, that's on Joe. And I heard people complain, well, he did show up. Look at his stats against the Chiefs and the Eagles, all these teams last year. You need to go back and watch the games. You need to go back and watch that Chiefs game where it's 3rd and 6. There's 2 minutes left. He has the ball. And if he gets a first down, the game is basically over. and he misses the hot read and he takes a really bad sack on a very easy to read blitz coming to him. When he's going against that Baltimore Ravens team, which, that game haunts me last year, an inexplicable
So
turnover. Again, that falls on to Joe. So it's once again coming to the season. I get why people are so in love with Joe Burrow and the weapons he has him. It's a fantasy football team. This, again, the joke is this team was constructed by a 13-year-old. Like, they were like, okay, let's pay T. Higgins, let's pay Chase, let's pay our quarterback, and then let's not pay anybody else. Let's just go cheap on every other position and, let our best safety walk. Chad just talked about letting Trey Hendricks walk. I can't believe it's real. I really can't believe they didn't pay Trey where, he has been open that he loves the Bengals. He grew up a Bengals fan, and he was willing to take a discount to stay. He just wants guaranteed money, which you should pay him. You should pay him that guaranteed money because the splits between him on the field and off the field for your defense is so extreme. But they're not. They're just very stubborn, and it's bad ownership. And their window was that Joe Burrow rookie year because you had the stud quarterback and his number one receiver and paid him nothing. You could have paid the rest of your team, and you let guys walk. You didn't pay certain players. So, yeah, this is, to me, a very dumb Joe Public bet if you've taken any positive position on this Bengals team. You clearly never looked into what their defense was going to be. You clearly overthought what their quarterback position is, where I just said, like, again, it doesn't sound great to you. Joe Burrow is a top 5, top 6 quarterback to many people. That is very impressive for this kid. But we talk all the time. You have to build it out around him. And they failed him on the offensive line. They failed him on the defense. So, yeah, I'm on their under. I'm on their plus 185 to not make the playoffs. And would I be shocked if they can backdoor the way in? No, because we just talked about Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in football. But how are they going to hold leads? They won't. I'm telling you, people, they won't be able to stop anybody. And Joe, just like he did last year, will try to do too much, and he won't make mistakes. So we saw it last year. As long as they played bad teams below 500, they were dominant. As soon as they played a team above 500 or a playoff team, they got rolled. And that's just what it's going to be like this season. So, they could get fluky wins here and there. They could get to this win total. They could back their way into the playoffs. But, Super Bowl, winning their conference, like they feel so far below the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. Hell, you can even throw the Broncos in there if you want. I just cannot get there with this Cincinnati team. So I know it sucks to be doom and gloom on them. We both love Joe, and it's a really fun team, but their window feels like it's closed, and it's going to be a 3-4 year rebuild because they've failed on so many different levels with that offensive line, that defense. So yeah, again, it's so negative right now, but of all the teams in this division, they feel like, I mean, we're going to talk about Pittsburgh in a second, but they feel like they're a team whose window is closed and they're going to need to rebuild for 3-4 years. And that's exactly where you don't want to be in this division that, right now the Ravens just feel like 5 years ahead of them.
So you mentioned the schedule, and I thought you pointed it out brilliantly. They got bad teams. They got the Browns.
Yeah.
They got the Jets. They got the Jags, who are an unknown quantity right now. Every other game on their roster, because they've got the NFC North, feels like a 50-50 proposition between having to play each of their teams twice, especially the Ravens, and having to play all of the NFC North teams. Those are 6 really hard games
Yeah.
for this team.
I can't find the wins.
I can't find
That's why
the,
people are giving me shit about having them at 8 wins. That's being nice, I feel like.
I can't find the guaranteed wins. Like in every schedule
Right.
with elite teams, you can find the guaranteed wins.
Yeah.
I can't find the games where I'm like, oh yeah, the Bengals should easily win that game in any of those, except for the Browns and the Jets.
That's fair.
That's it. But that's not when you want to be betting on a team to get to double-digit wins.
No.
I'm glad we're on the same side on that. I didn't know which way you were going to go because I know you're a little down on Burrow, but we don't talk about this, so I never know.
Yeah, me being down Bros, I have him at number 6
I know,
in my
right?
top 10 quarterbacks.
Listen, quick heads up for anybody playing fantasy football this season. The Ultimate 2025 Draft Kit is here, courtesy of our Fantasy Labs team. That means our award-winning team of Sean Kerner and Chris Raybon have their rankings, tiers, and cheat sheets ready for you. To get them, you'll need a Fantasy Labs subscription. And right now, new subscribers can use code FLEX20 or for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. Let Sean and Chris make your fantasy prep easier. Use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. The Pittsburgh Steelers plus 550 to win the division, 20-1 to win the conference, Super Bowl 40-1, win total 8.5. Feels like we're getting a Mike Tomlin bounce at the 8.5. Their defense is great. If everyone is fat and happy, right? And right now, they're not. TJ Watt, who by the way is 31 years old, has a new deal. Cam Hayward, a hold in, only been sort of doing light practice work, but has said he'll sit out games. Um, got Aaron Rodgers, obviously, who has not been Aaron Rodgers for years. Their greatest asset is Mike Tomlin and his ability to coax wins. And that's why I think their win total is even at 8.5. Like, otherwise, if you judge this just on talent, I think it's probably 7.5. I think, like, if I were betting this team, I'd probably wait until the second half of the year and see if I can get an adjusted under. Because the first half of the year, Jets, Browns, Patriots, Seahawks, Colts, like, not terrible. But the second half of the year, they got Bills, Ravens twice, Lions. It gets harder. What do you think of this?
Yeah, just an interesting built team. Like you talk about the defense, I think it's 160 million that they've spent on their defense, and being an Eagles fan, I think we're at maybe 70 million. So it's like, are they $90 million better than the Eagles defense? Probably not, but that's how it is when Chad talked about. You're paying older guys big contracts, and Cam Hayward, I'd be ripping my fucking hair out if I worked in that front office. Who the fuck does this guy think he is? Signing a new deal last year, now coming in a year later, being all pissy, saying I outplayed that contract the year before. Now
It is weird,
deal.
right?
Bizarre. There must be something else, because everything you've ever read about Cam is he's like the man. He's a football guy, team first. Yeah, just the man. But, what is he, 36, 37? He gets it, where he's like, that was probably as good as it gets last year. And if I can get one more payday, I might as well try it and try to be a piece of shit about it, where it's everyone else on that team is just like, dude, we just paid TJ. We've signed all these guys. I mean, even their kickers having some drama about money. So it's like, what is going on with Pittsburgh? They try to be good and pay their guys, and now all these other players are thrown in their face, being like, I want more. I deserve more. It's tough. And again, this is another team that I wanted to be on them as a sneaky team in this division, where it's like, everyone's talking Ravens, Bengals, Steelers. If Rodgers, again, as much as people left him for dead, he did look so much better that second half of the season. He looked confident, pushing the ball downfield, pushing off his back foot, where for the first 8-9 weeks, he did not do that. He was very timid. And, we know the deal. This is not Brady going to the Bucks. Rodgers is not built that way. He doesn't play the same style. And, this is a guy that relied a lot on his athleticism, and that's gone. So now we're sitting with Chad? A bottom, not top 20, but maybe top 25 quarterback. Like, I'm trying to think where I even fit in Rodgers now. And when I model this team out, my model doesn't get the Tomlin effect. You just nailed it. Like, my model has him at 7 wins. So I have him at a game and a half below it. But a computer doesn't understand that Tomlin he's a glitch. There's nothing like him coaching wise. Like, this guy just wills these teams.
So what's the value of that, though? Like, to me, I think they're giving him, you say they're at 7. I had it at 7.5. And I think they're getting an extra game just because of Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Vrabel's worth 2.5, Tomlin should be worth 3 to you then, Chad. Like, as much as I want to give respect to Vrabel, Tomlin's that dude. And I know he doesn't have the success, but it's like, dude, every year they throw out trash at the quarterback position, and he makes it work because he just wills his team, special teams, defense, whatever it is. So we know the deal. Like, this team, I think you just nailed it too, where it's like, You want to take a position later on and take their under? That was the move last year, and I hate that I missed it. Where we all kind of started drinking the Kool-Aid on Russell Wilson because he came in, he was so dynamic, and they kept winning after Justin Fields got benched. But we kept saying to ourselves, the number doesn't back it up. When you dive into Russell Wilson, it's just luck. Like his 50-50 balls deep downfield, eventually it's going to go the other way. And I think they went, I don't know if it was 5 straight games. They just got worked at the end of the season. They couldn't cover either. So
Yep.
I look at this team that if they just have a stable position player in Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback position, and he can get the ball to DK and they can make it work offensively. And, this rookie they draft can be their number one running back. Great. But like, I have so many questions about their offensive line. I have so many questions about their run blocking on the offensive line. I can't get there and be excited. So I'll bet the over out of respect to Tomlin. But yeah, like as we sit here right now, this is another game where it's like, I have 2 other teams I'd rather bet heavier on their win total. The Bengals under, I'd much rather bet that. And then we're about to talk Cleveland. So yeah, I'm uninspired by Pittsburgh, and I feel bad for their fans where it's just, you're just stuck in this middle floating around position. And they burned the boats, Chad. Like I just talked about, the Bengals missed their window. This is Pittsburgh's window. Like they have a very old, expensive defense that maybe 1 or 2 years here left. Like you literally went out and got Slay. I love Slay, obviously. Him and Ramsey, yes, that could be good cornerbacks, or it could be 2 dudes way over the hill that are about to get absolutely cooked by almost every team in their division as wide receivers. So that's the fear here, is they're just a very old team with a lot of guys who could get a lot of injuries. So I can't get excited. Again, 40-1 Super Bowl odds. Who's betting that? Who's betting Pittsburgh at 40-1? Thinking they're going to hold up through the whole year in the AFC. It's very bizarre where they're a team. I feel like back in the day they would have been 60 or 55 to 1. The books are just giving us shit odds in the Super Bowl odds. So yeah, no bet for me other than the win total here.
Feels very Washington team formerly known as mid 1990s, late 1990s, signing big name players who have long track records, hoping that is the key. When does this ever work out? When do you ever sign a 40-plus-year-old quarterback, give up draft picks for a always disgruntled, high maintenance receiver, and then go all in on 2 cornerbacks who had been bouncing around in the latter stages of their career because they might be in the latter stages of their career? This has never worked. In the
No.
history of football, this has never worked.
That's why they just got to hope on Tomlin. Like the whole team is just built around Tomlin, it feels like, where it's just, you need to make all these personalities work, and it's tough.
I feel like that's not a recipe for success in the NFL. Last I checked, you actually have to have good players.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Hey, speaking of good players, how about those Cleveland Browns who are 30-1 to win the division? I had to check that 3 times. They're 100-1 to win the conference, 200-1 to win the Super Bowl, win total 4.5, tied with the Giants for the longest division odds in the NFL. It's a tricky one. It's actually similar to the Giants, right? Because their defense is so good, especially the defensive line. When you and I talked about the Giants during the NFC East preview, like we talked about their defensive line and how good it is, especially with Dexter Lawrence. The Browns obviously have Myles Garrett. We have a bias to the defense, but last year we did get caught a couple of times, like believing their defense would be good enough to keep games close. And then the offense was just so incompetent. There was no saving this team. So, like, Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback. I don't know that I have more confidence in this team because he's doing that, right? Like, can they beat the Jets and the Titans? Those are the games that, like, would maybe you can circle them as wins. But I don't know, man. You seem to have a strong opinion here.
I fucking love this Browns team. Give me that over 4.5. I love this team so much. And it's another team that people they're out on them, right? It's a gross team. They got the QB drama, right? They drafted these 2 young kids. Even Chad was like, no, it'll be Shador starting, where I knew all along it's going to be Joe fucking Flacco, man. It's just what he does, baby. He's just the consummate pro. Doesn't say much. My favorite line he had where they were like, "Yeah, are you going to mentor these guys and help them out?" He goes, "No, This is my job. I'm here to win. They want to copy me and watch how I go about my business. That's how I mentor them. I'll show them what it's like to be a professional quarterback." What is he? 39 years old, 38 years old. I mean, it's crazy that Joe is still in the league, still a starter, and the disrespect that this team is getting because last year they had nothing at the quarterback position. Joe is not nothing. Like, yes, you could say he was bad last year with that Colts team. That to me was so much dysfunction within the organization where the Browns, you could say they had this dysfunction. I look at Stefanski as a great coach. I think he plays within a system that when a quarterback can run his system, it's a good functioning system. And their offensive line isn't as bad as people think it is. And Jerry Jeudy, to me, is a great super receiver, especially fantasy football this year. This is a deep threat. I think he might have had 1,400 yards last year when they had nothing at the quarterback position last year. So Jerry Jeudy, a guy who was a number one pick that Denver offloaded, and he went to the Browns, and you've seen the talent spark. You've not heard a single thing about Jerry Jeudy this offseason. You know why? Because he doesn't fuck around and do stupid shit in the offseason. He just does work. And he's coming in training camp, and he's put in work. And apparently him and Flacco have a great connection. So to me, they've had a lot of legal issues with this rookie running back they drafted. It looks like it worked out, that this kid is going to be okay and be able to play football. Sure, he might get suspended 4 games because, he did some horrible shit in the NFL. Even though he's not legally getting charged, the NFL might still punish him. They still have other guys. Like they drafted, there's other kid, Sampson, as a rookie. They have Ford, another running back they could put in there. Okay, so those are weapons there. And now you think about their defense. Chad just nailed it. Like this defense might be really good. Like they're questioning with their secondary. They've added pieces this offseason to the secondary to try to improve it. And my favorite thing reading about Eagles joint practice with the Browns was you literally can't practice when Myles Garrett's on the field because he ruins every single play. You can never run a play with him on the field. And it didn't matter when they had Lane Johnson out there and Mulata. He was beating those guys. And Mulata joked, they're like, "Hey, Mulata, can you take anything away from playing against a guy like Myles Garrett?" He goes, "No," because he does things that no other human on this planet can do that plays football. Like no one else can throw me back 5 feet with one arm while spinning the other way and going around me. So it's like you have the guys up front. Again, in the draft, they went out and tried to draft guys on the front line. Again, they traded down to get more equity for next year because they're what the general public thinks, right? They're a team that views them as being a bad team. The front office doesn't have high hopes for this team, but to me, that's the type of teams I like. Where inside, guys like Flacco and other guys, they believe in this team. So this is another team where it's like, okay, if you want to bet the win total, I get it, but it's 4.5. Like they can find 4.5 wins with a veteran quarterback and a veteran defense like this and a good head coach. Like they're even week 1 against Cincinnati, I think they're 5.5 or 6-point dog. We've seen Cincinnati come out slow. And I know they've tried to be playing guys in spring training so they're up to speed. Joe Flacco might throw for 350 yards against this defense. Like this might end up being a shootout. And who has the better defense by far? It's going to be this Browns team who can get stops. And I feel like a lot of games this year, they will be able to get stops defensively and be able to move the ball offensively. So I know it's gross and it's ugly looking, but I really like the 4.5. And I can't believe I'm saying to do it, but you have to because it's 30-1. You have to throw $1 on this divisional odds. Like you have to do it where there's a world where Lamar, who plays a very aggressive style, does get banged up. And there is a world where we talk about the Bengals are just not that good of a team, and Pittsburgh is maybe a 9-win team. The Browns could get there. Like I know people just don't believe them. It's just hard to squint your eyes and see it, but it's like if you have a good defense, if you have a good offensive line and everyone's healthy, that is such a huge advantage at the end of the season where so many teams are dealing with injuries and injuries to important positions heading into this season where the Browns really don't have that. Like all the drama is kind of media made up where Dylan Gabriel and Shador, they were never going to be the starters. They're fighting for that number 2 job. So I just love how it's lined up and positioned for this Browns team. And, it's the fact that it's 4.5. This is a team I'll bet the adjusted total. Like I'll adjust to take the 6.5 and plus 200 over. Like that's just a fun bet to make where if I think this team's going to pop, I think they'll pop to that over. So yeah, this is a team that was 5.5. The pros, the general public, for the most part, had bet this down because I think most of them thought it was going to be Shador or Dylan Gabriel to be the starter. And now that it's Flacco, how can you not love this team at 4.5 win total? I love the value here. So again, I don't have them graded at like 10 wins. I have them at 5.5 wins. So it's not crazy, But I don't think my computer really understands how important it is to have a veteran quarterback like Flacco with a great offensive mind like Stefanski. And again, 2 years ago, this is a duo that made the playoffs. Like this is a tandem that works, and we've seen it work before. So I just think people are too low on this team for all the scars they had last year, where it's a new year and they're not as bad as people perceive.
Strong opinion on the
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns. Very strong. Seems like our best bets are clearly Cleveland Browns over 4.5, uh, the Bengals under 9.5. I also like a Ravens Super Bowl matchup. I think probably like a Ravens Lions Super Bowl matchup bet. I'm going to bet Ravens Lions, Ravens Eagles, probably Ravens Niners. Um, as part of my Super Bowl matchup round robin. Do you have a specific team you would match them with?
Don't hate it. You know my feeling about playoff golf.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't mind it. Like again, I have done Ravens Eagles, I've done Ravens 49ers, I've done Ravens Rams. So I'm with you where it's like as much shit as I like talking about Lamar, it's like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning for 7 years couldn't get out of the shadow of Brady, and eventually he breaks through. And it's only a matter of time for Josh Allen and Lamar as they're in their prime. The talent's there. Can they show up in the playoffs in the biggest moments and live up to it? So I'm with you on betting Ravens futures. It's like don't bet them, just to win the Super Bowl. It's plus 650. That's a stupid bet. Bet the matchups, people.
The favorites will return with our next episode Tuesday on the Action Network YouTube page, where we cover our NFL best bets for the 2025 NFL season and college football week one with our special BBOC podcasts guests. Download us from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, love you.